Hi, this is the Relevancy Show with me, Kareena Maxwell, and our guest today, who's going to talk about her recovery, is Samantha Hall. Now I'm going to tell you how I met Samantha Hall. Samantha Hall works at a clothing store in St. John's, Arizona. I'm not going to tell you the name. She can tell you the name of the clothing store because I don't know. I don't know how everything works in this world. You know, St. John's is St. John's after all. So, but we met and we talked. And I was writing for the paper, and I said, I'll come back, and I'll send somebody. But nobody ever showed. No, nobody ever came out. Nobody called you. So here we are, about a year later, and we've gotten to know each other somewhat. And one day she actually had, we on Facebook together, and one day she actually had a picture of a beautiful car, and she talked about her recovery. And then I wrote to her, and I said, that's the stuff I want. That's the stuff I want to hear about. So Samantha is proud to be recovered for 12 years. She is, she's been through her trials and tribulations like anybody in the world. So can you tell us about that from let's go with Samantha back a little bit to when you first started to use.
Okay, I was about 15 years old. Started just hanging out with my friends and started drinking.
So that was the gateway for you?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what followed? Was it marijuana or?
Marijuana and then cocaine.
Okay. And then, so then you're using and you're going to school?
Yeah.
And you graduate high school?
No.
Okay. So did that interfere with that happening or?
Partially. And the guy I was dating talked me into quitting school and moving in with him.
Okay.
And stupidly did it.
And then you went back to school at some point?
No.
Okay,
Never went back.
That's good. You know what? You're running a store, and you're clearly very intelligent and very capable and a really good woman. So we live the lives we live, but you've recovered and you've been in recovery for 12 years.
Yep.
How does that work that you're in recovery for 12 years? That means what?
A lot of hard work.
So not giving in to feelings?
Exactly. Giving in to the temptation.
Temptation, okay.
The feeling, not letting the stress overwhelm you so much to where you want to go do that again, just to get rid of what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And somehow think it's magically going to just take it all away. Because in reality, when you sober up, it's still there.
The problem.
Yeah. The problem is still there and possibly intensified. So
Yes.
It's better to just not drink and deal with it. Deal with what you have to and get it over with.
And that works.
Yeah, it's tough, but yeah.
You did 12-step.
Yes, I did.
And do you use those skills every day?
I do. I honestly do.
And what's your favorite step? Do you have a favorite step?
I honestly don't. I try to live by all 12 as much as possible. My favorite is to forgive and just don't do it. Don't drink or don't do the drugs because it's just gonna come back and haunt you and make things worse and hurt the ones around you.
Yes, exactly. Hurt the ones around you. So let's talk about what made you go and go into the recovery. You had a young boy at the time, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And go ahead.
He was a year and a half old. And one night I came home, was very, very drunk. I passed out and my son tried to wake me up and couldn't and got very, very scared and started screaming and telling Grandma, "Mommy, no, wake up. Mommy, no, wake up."
Oh, yeah.
The next night I come home, same thing, I'm drunk, and my 1.5-year-old son is holding my hair back with a wet washcloth, wiping my face as I'm vomiting in the toilet, taking care of his mother. That contributed to part of me saying, okay, it's time to wake up and knock this crap off and become a mom. Be a mom.
Yeah.
Be the mom I need to be.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Do you know, does he have any memory of that? Probably not.
No,
Yeah.
thank God.
Yeah, that's the good thing. So you let God and let go?
Yeah.
She lets God. She let God and let go. And you also have no other diagnosis. You just, because we know in the mental health field that people start to use when they are depressed, or they use because they're anxious. It happens. So that wasn't for you. You had the peer pressure.
Yeah. And the will to wanting to fit in.
To
To
fit
be
in.
liked.
To be liked. Did it work?
Yeah. Yeah, with the wrong ones, with the wrong people, yeah.
So let me, something we were talking about also was the stigma for women, and I'm very interested in that because women are looked at differently. You have to be perfect. And men, I have two sons, so we're kind of used to the boys, and I don't like to say it like that, but and they're great men today, but we're used to boys being more of a challenge, but women aren't supposed to be that. Do you think you swept it under the rug, so to speak?
I think I did.
So it delayed your recovery?
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to be seen as an addict?
Yeah. I didn't want to be labeled as an addict. So anytime I ever did anything, I always behind closed doors.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I didn't go out to, advertise it, obviously, but there's a lot of times that I probably should have gone to jail for it. But luckily I was one of the lucky ones. I've only gotten one DUI my entire life, which is a shock, because I probably should have gotten many.
Yeah.
But I always tried to be responsible about it and just stay behind closed doors.
Okay. Okay. But now it's out. So you got out. You how did you fall off at all when you went into 12-step? Your son is about a year and a half old or so. Did you fall off ever, or did you just decide that was it?
I had that mindset.
Yeah.
I was done. I wasn't doing it, and that was it.
Okay.
I didn't fall not once.
Okay. That's you're to be commended for that, and I'm really proud of you, and I'm really glad to get to know you from the lady in the clothing store. You see, people have stories.
Yep.
We all have stories, and I don't think there's a family anywhere in the world that has not been impacted by substance, drinking, drugs, and I'm sorry to say, the latest meth that just takes people out.
Yeah.
Just takes them out. There's or fentanyl, and then they combine them, or they're sneaking them into marijuana now. Yeah. Oh my goodness, that stuff scares me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's real scary stuff.
And what makes my heart happy is that my kids tell me, Mommy, you don't ever have to worry about me drinking or doing drugs. I think it's nasty and I don't want to do anything.
That's wonderful.
And I just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah. Because it's such a big one today. And, 50 years ago, we didn't have, this is how bad it is. 50 years ago is what, 1970? Right? And we just didn't have it like that. 1970, I'm 20 years old, and I never used anything. And I don't want to say it like that I never used anything. But I didn't get caught up in it. And I was part of the hippie movement, but I just wasn't attracted. And fast forward 50 years, and we have clinics, and we have therapies, and we have counseling, and it's so rampant culturally. And in closing, I want to ask you, first of all, are you happy now?
I am.
You're happy?
I'm happy I'm sober. I'm happy I have 2 beautiful children.
Yes.
My husband, we have a brand new home. I was able to get a good enough job to finally get us a new car.
Nice.
It's just overwhelming that I knew I wouldn't be able to have any of that if I was still drinking and doing drugs.
So
I wouldn't have any of that.
You feel like you have freedom now?
I do.
Isn't that interesting? It's the F word. It's the good F word.
Yes.
Yeah.
I broke the chain of addiction.
Look at you.
So.
And in closing, I want to say, and I was talking to somebody earlier about this, who is the person who was instrumental on changing the way addictions are treated. Can you think of who that person was? And it's a woman.
I don't know.
Betty Ford.
Betty Ford. Oh.
Yeah, Betty Ford. First it started with, all the rich and famous, and then the Betty Ford Clinic, because she herself had an addiction problem, addiction to pills. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that came from the recesses of my mind before. I said, yeah, Betty Ford. So bravo to Betty Ford, and bravo to you. And I hope other women come forward and get help and aren't afraid to go ahead, because, we have to be the heroes and the perfect ones all the time. And it doesn't have to be, the perfect tit. Hey, I'm not a perfect tit. Get over it. I had to make you laugh. I'm sorry, I had to make her laugh, folks, and she's laughing. I got her there. All right, this is Kareena Maxwell with my guest, Samantha Hall, and this is our discussion on recovery. And thank you so much, Samantha.
Thank you for having me.
All right, you're so welcome.